This is what the glass fire looks like from the air tonight. It's grown to more than 51,000 acres and destroyed dozens of homes and popular wineries.
It was hell on earth, basically, and we just had to figure our way around it. And the only way you can sleep at night is knowing that you did something that day to help.
And we're having a conversation here that, I mean, some people might consider taboo, right? That, that there are certain brands that are making wine from tainted grapes that maybe they shouldn't make.
Taint is already been proven will get worse as the wine ages.
Do you worry there will be a day in our lifetimes that you just can't grow grapes here?
Most of us are not sommeliers.
So what do you smell there?
See, when I go on an actual wine tasting, I always wait for someone else to answer.
I most certainly am not.
But so far, not a fault.
It almost smells like a scented household cleaner.
Yes, I get where you get that.
Anita Oberholster and I shared some laughs at UC Davis's wine research lab, but the work that happens here is actually quite serious, critical research for California's wine industry, which employs nearly 800,000 people across the country.
I do worry about losing individual players, grape growers, that just can't, go bankrupt because they just can't do this anymore. Wineries, losing wineries, that gets economically impacted to the way, or people just going, this is not worth it anymore.
And are you already seeing that?
We're definitely seeing wineries struggling and growers struggling, yes. And 2020 was a really bad year. That was a double whammy with COVID and the wildfires.
Right now at 11, an orange glow that we know means trouble. This is new video from the glass fire in wine country.
This fire, as you know, is burning in Napa and Sonoma counties.
And if this is 2020, what will wine country look like in 20LX, 2060? Science shows our warming planet is making wildfires burn faster and bigger, leaving more devastation, like the glass fire, burning for 3 weeks, leveling 300 homes and scorching parts of nearly 30 wineries. But even vineyards spared by the flames did not escape.
A lot of us made the choice to not even bother picking because of what we went through in 2017. So it was, we had known the effects, and so we just so from
Didn't even pick the grapes?
No, we didn't pick any grapes. No. Actually, I made the first time in 24 years. I made not a drop of wine.
Don't mistake Marbu's pleasant smile. It fades as the veteran winemaker looks across the vineyards of Italics in Napa Valley. Gorgeous, yes, but increasingly brown, increasingly threatened by wildfires, like the Atlas fire in 2017, which burned along these ridgelines just a mile away.
There was a lot of wine in 2017 that did not make its purpose. And so there's a lot of very, very high-end brandy.
But walking through cellars with Marbu was sobering. I struggled to process that none of the 6 California growers he works with made any wine in 2020 because of what's known as wildfire smoke taint.
Taint is already been proven will get worse as the wine ages. And of course, yes, there are people who are going to push the envelope, like any other business in the world. Some people take the pushes, and if they don't get called on it, they don't get called on it.
One place you won't find any smoke-tainted wine is Frog's Leap. In fact, John Williams was one of the first in California to make red and white wine that's also green.
To slow the progress of climate change, we put in solar panels 17 years ago. We built the first LEED certified building, which is an environmental certification.
You changed the shape of your bottles?
Changed the weight of our bottles, which is huge. It turns out packaging is huge in this whole discussion, and something we can affect.
And John, you're doing these things, and everyone around you, are they like, why are you spending all this extra money? Did you get that reaction early on?
Well, early on, certainly with organic farming, we did that 30 years ago. We certified our first vineyards in '89, and there was mostly giggles about that.
But no one is giggling anymore. The wine industry in California alone generates $57 billion a year, employing 325,000 Californians.
We're all starting to realize what our grapevines realized probably 15 years ago, and that's the climate's changing. Wildfires of 2017 and 2020 last year have captured everyone's imagination. So.
easy to talk about the wildfires because those are the things that get the headlines, right? But what is already having an impact on these grapes and eventually the wine is a heat wave that maybe lasts a day or two longer than it did last year, or gets a degree or two hotter than it did last year. That, combined with ongoing drought, is already fundamentally impacting this entire region. And wine-growing regions around the world. Napa and Sonoma fall in the same general latitude and climate of other famous areas like Rioja in Spain, Burgundy and Bordeaux in France, and Tuscany in Italy. Notable studies from America and Europe show how those perfect conditions are already creeping north toward previously cooler climates. A well-known Stanford study from 2011 predicted California could lose half its premier wine-growing lands by 2040, and by 20LX, 2060, that impact will undoubtedly be worse. So back at Frog's Leap on a seemingly normal foggy morning, John can easily point to evidence of that kind of change.
Well, we're here at a fascinating time. Look at the decision this grapevine's going to hit. Just in the last couple days, it's decided to come out. It's making intense decisions right now about how many buds to put on next year. It's measuring how much moisture in the soil. We didn't get much rain last year. It's setting a much smaller crop. Right now, it's saying, I'm not going to carry as much crop next year because the buds for next year are already being formed.
And you can already tell that.
Well, scientists know this, right? Yeah, exactly.
Scientists like Anita and her colleagues at UC Davis, studying not just heat and drought, but the tricky science between grapevines and wildfires.
Smoke does not equal smoke impact. Smoke does not equal tainted wine. Because last year, there's probably a lot of grapes that never got picked that could have been made into really great wines.
And maybe some grapes that were picked that should never be in the bottle.
Absolutely. That's now ended up, now a winemaker is pulling out the hair because now the wine is actually starting to show smoke impact, and they go, oh, what do I do now?
And that unpredictability is what she demonstrated with these 3 wines from 2020, which, if not exposed to wildfire smoke, would have sold for more than $100 a bottle.
It's interesting.
What do you smell?
Well, I have covered enough wildfires as a journalist that I can actually smell some of that smell from just being at a wildfire. Okay, let's try this. It's not good. I mean, it tastes like wine, but it's
This ashtray.
Yeah.
It's like but it's an old ashtray. I would say like licking an ashtray, if you can imagine licking an ashtray.
And who's going to pay money for that? And the thing is, ashtray wine will affect anyone who pops a cork. Even a $10 bottle of wine easily becomes $20, $25 as good grapes become more scarce. That's why winemakers are so desperate for definitive research.
So people ask me, okay, how many miles do I need to be from the fire to be safe? There's no distance. You know, sometimes you have 2 vineyards right next to each other, and the one is greatly impacted and the other one isn't. It's a very difficult situation. We are learning, we are making progress, but it's really, really slow. We needed the answers 5 years ago, basically. It's probably going to take us another 5 years to actually have a decent amount of the questions that we currently have answered.
Do you worry, though, that there will be a day in your lifetime, in my lifetime, and in our lifetimes that you just can't grow grapes here?
Yes, I think that's quite possible. But will we be able to grow peaches? You know, we're farmers. So we'll find something good to grow. Don't worry about us. You know, what I worry about is everyone says, oh gosh, John, you're not going to be able to grow great Cabernet in the Napa Valley. I go, yeah, I also hear that our coastal cities are going to be inundated. There's going to be widespread pestilence. There's going to be global migration. There's going to be a collapse of the economic, and my Cabernet's not going to taste so good. Let's put this in a little bit of perspective, in other words. And I think it's really important to do. So yes, but don't worry about me. I'll be a farmer. I'll find something to farm. And believe me, if it turns out to be rutabagas, they will be the best damn rutabagas grown sustainably as you'll ever have.